Hello and welcome to the EDN 5400 or 5470 rather, Module 7 Spring 2 Personal Discipline Project. My name is Marshall and I will be detailing and guiding you through my personal discipline plan as it pertains to the noble art of education. Even though I am not currently teaching, I still feel that a personal discipline plan is necessary in order to prepare me for when I do obtain my classroom. As you can see from my wardrobe, I am adorned with several pins. One of them is a Brotherhood pin. I am also signifying with my left hand the symbol of Lambda Chi Alpha. Within this fraternity, I have learned several key aspects and values that would help me in my career as a teacher. Those core values are loyalty, duty, respect, service and stewardship, honor, integrity, and personal courage. These seven core values make up the word, some of the letters in the word leadership. As a teacher, I plan on becoming that leader for my students and therefore guiding them through these seven core values so that way they, in turn, as they go through their higher grades and hopefully into college and university and possibly even grad school, that they would obtain these values as well and become the valuable citizens that the world needs. My philosophy of discipline is straightforward. It also uses the core values of Lambda Chi Alpha as discussed in slide 1. I plan on using these core values to create a classroom environment based on love, loyalty, honor, honesty, truth, trustworthiness, dedication, and devotion. All of these values are make up part of what Lambda Chi stands for. Even though I'm talking about a fraternity that I was in under my undergrad, the values and morals that were displayed and that I learned can be carried on throughout life. My main theorist and my reasoning for my philosophy of discipline comes from two theorists that I highly recommend and idolize. And they are Harry K. Wong and his wife, Rosemary T. Wong. In chapter 7 of our textbook, these two theorists give a very good example of what it means to be a teacher by giving several examples of how students should be treated by the teacher and also vice versa as students towards as teachers towards the students. As you can read, the responsibility for my students are to treat me with the seven core values that we've explained already. This is the textbook that I used mostly throughout this presentation, and where I got my theory of discipline from. In this textbook, in the very beginning, Wang and Wang give insight to Jacob Kernan, who, in 1970, stated that good classroom management is based on the behavior of teachers, what the teachers do, not the behavior of the students. What this means to me is that good classroom management is based on how we treat our students and the loyalty and the respect we give them. It's not just based on their behavior towards us. Kernan also stated that the teacher's behavior that produces high student engagement. It is the teacher's behavior, like we just mentioned, that produces high student engagement, reduces student misbehavior, and maximizes instructional time. Within this, I have found that Kernan's 6 values of classroom management really fit well with this. Kernan explains that his 6 core values of witness, overlapping, smoothness and momentum, group alerting, accountability, and seat work variety and challenge really fit into the core values that we've been talking about. They also define my professionalism and ethics that I plan on using in my classroom. I found as I went through my undergrad that I have more of an authoritative style of teaching. In the very beginning, when I first started in the education department, I pretended to be a teacher with an invisible class. I found that as I went through the class, that I was very strict. I did not accept anything that was under the standards, underneath the standards rather. And I always gave high expectations for my students. This is my professionalism. I would also talk to my students like I'm talking to you now. Clear, concise, and with specific words. My dress would be professionalism. Believe it or not, Wang and Wang, yet again, give a very good point in the classroom management book, which is this one right here. Probably can't see it because it's blurred out. But they state effective teachers know that the clothes they wear and the smile that dresses their face are the first things the students see as they are greeted at the door. I truly plan on doing this each and every single class period. They also state that you do not get a second chance to make a first impression. The main first impression is truly what students will see as they are walking into your classroom. Now, ethically, if I can just move myself over here. Nope. Okay. So ethically, the key terms that come to mind when we talk about ethics are respect, honor, loyalty, and integrity. Again, two of those are core values of Lambda Chi Alpha. As you can tell thus far, the values of Lambda Chi Alpha fit perfect into the realm of education because you must instill in your students honor, integrity, respect, as well as love and honorability. When it comes to the golden rule, I like to use the word honor instead of do unto. The golden rule is do unto others as they would do unto you. My version of that would be honoring students as they would honor you. And even though my slide is cut off for this last point, I insist that I will make sure as a teacher that all of my students are considered when it comes to activities, discussions, and otherwise, not just certain selected students. I wanted to put my potential first 5 classroom rules to really bring out the fact that rules and regulations are the first thing that students will need to learn in your classroom. These are very upfront and to the point. The poster over here, even though I got it from Google, also highlights several rules that I feel are perfect for my classroom. Respect, staying calm, listening, being open, working and doing your best are the key to success in education. In this textbook is the first that Harry and Rosemary Wong created on how to become an effective teacher in the first days of school. The main point they want to emphasize is if you do not have a plan, you are planning to fail. This is absolutely perfect in that if I do not have a plan on making sure that my students stick with stick with the um, the rules and regulations that I have set for them, then there is no way possible that I can get to them and instill in them the core values without that plan. They also state that there are two kinds of rules. There are general rules and specific rules. General rules encompass a whole, whereas specific rules highlight a specific behavior. My rules combine both. In order to be proactive in my classroom, part of this is reducing inappropriate behavior. The main topic that I would use, or the main concept, would be the principle of least intervention that states that when routine classroom behavior is obtained, misbehaviors should be corrected with the least intrusive intervention that will work. So basically what it's saying is if students are misbehaving, you should not give corporal punishment, but you should correct these behaviors in the least intrusive way that will not only help the student regain the correct behavior, but it will help them learn and comprehend that misbehaving is not allowed in the classroom. These 5 rules, in a way, basically state that if the behavior persists, then more severe interventions will be taken into account. My plan as a classroom teacher is to instill in my students the support that they need in order to succeed. In order to do this, I must keep my students participating and I must help them persevere, regardless of what happens in the classroom. According to the Classroom Management book by Wong and Wong, when students know how to truly listen to what others have to say, they will learn more and acquire greater benefit from a lesson. This means that when students obtain the help from others, they will learn and gain better insight as to the material that is being taught. One of these methods for helping students um, participate and stay participating is the popsicle stick method. What I would do is write their names on a popsicle stick and then place them in a till. During discussion, I would move the till around and move the popsicle sticks around, and then choose one at random and call on that student. If the student did not emphasize what it was that I needed them to answer, or if they did not answer in the best suitable way, I would call on another student to help emphasize it. In chapter 28 of the same book that I am talking about, working in groups is essential for all students. This chapter talks all about working in groups. I never liked working in groups in my educational career. However, I did learn a vital point that in groups, not only do you learn how to get along with one another, but you get to form bonds with others. This is useful for when you obtain a job, in that you will need to work as a team because you will not be allowed to work alone. There will always be other coworkers with you as you work. And this helps the group work will instill that teamwork in your students. So far, we have learned about my plan to become a fantastic teacher. But how do I redirect students when misbehavior occurs? Distraction will not work. However, I find that when writing down my thoughts and feelings, it helps me analyze what my behavior was. This is what will happen in my classroom as well. When students misbehave, I will ask them to write in their journals their thoughts and feelings about the misbehavior that they had and how they will resolve it. This in turn will help them understand that the behavior that they displayed was negative and that they need to turn it positive. If, when I call time on a discussion and students continue to talk and have side conversations, I will use what's called the stop method, which is also in the classroom management book by Wong and Wong. This method is self-explanatory. I would write the word stop in big bold letters on the whiteboard. As students continue to talk, I would erase one letter from the word stop, in this case the S. If students continue within a minute of me erasing the S, the T will also be erased. When all four letters of the word stop are erased, a consequence will be instilled for the entire class. In this example, I give the students silent lunch. However, I will also deduct 5 points from their class dojo. I feel that this method will help students stay on task and stay focused on the lesson at hand, and they will understand when to talk and it's when talking should cease. In this slide, we learned how to communicate discipline approaches to students, administrators, and families, basically outside of the spectrum of education. According to the Methods of Effective Teaching by Paul Burden and David Bird, collaboration is a style of interaction between individuals engaged in shared decision-making as they work towards a common goal. This is key in that collaboration with families of your students will help bring together community, and you will be able to share each other's thoughts when it comes to classroom management. Also in this textbook, Burden and Bird state that teachers should communicate with families because of 6 reasons: to create open, two-way communication and to establish friendly relations. This means to get to know one another. When you get to learn who your parents are of your students, you will now understand how to better teach your students. To understand the student's home condition. This is also vital, so that way you know that inclusion is necessary for all students, not just those select students. To inform families of academic expectations and events, as well as student performance. This is self-explanatory. To enlist help from families about academic issues. Again, self-explanatory. You're telling the positive as well as the negative. To inform families of disciplinary expectations and actions. Letting your parents know of the students know what is expected of them will help the parents help you in instilling in your students the 7 core values that we've talked about throughout this lesson. And finally, to enlist help from families about dealing with their children. Again, self-explanatory, as I just explained. Allowing your parents to know how to work with their students, their children, will help you as a teacher when it comes to your classroom management plan. Now on to the best part, energizing your classroom. Now, when a lot of people think about the word energy, you're thinking fun, upbeat, carefree. When it comes to the classroom, especially when it comes to my authoritative teaching style, my students are there to work. My students come to school to be prepared, and they prepare to learn. Whilst in my classroom, they're not there to be carefree. They're there to to comprehend and be instilled with the necessary core values that will help them as adults. Even though I will be teaching second graders, as they go through their education, they will be instilled in more detail about these 7 core values, which will then, as they exit the the academic spectrum, they will understand what it means to be an effective leader and a dedicated, ambitious citizen. If my students in my classroom get too rowdy or are not energized and are not paying attention, I will pause the lesson, put on a Go Noodle, and have them basically follow that. Go Noodle is a very good program in which helps your students exercise their brains and give them a brain break. This concludes my presentation on my classroom management plan, as well as my personal discipline plan. And these are my sources. And we always must remember education rules. Thank you for your time and for listening to this explanation and analysis of my classroom management plan and my personal discipline project.